have another sort of grammar vocabulary thing that I wanted to talk about. In one of the last classes, I heard a mistake from you guys. I don't remember who. This is what I heard. Only she talked. And only I have to answer. So the issue here is with the difference between only and just. We're going to talk about this topic today. What is the difference between only and just? And how do we use them? What is the placement in the sentence? Real quick, I'll give you the correction here. She only talked could be, or she just talked, but the word order was incorrect. Also this one, I only or I just have to answer. So here both, the word only was not so much a problem, but the word order. Okay, so we're going to take a look at a document here. Okay, only and just. Gonna read some examples. Hold on just a second. Okay. All right. Only versus just. Okay, first we're going to talk about the difference in meaning. Here we're going to talk about the meanings of just and the meanings of only. Who can start? Eric, can you start reading here?
Yes. Just exact ideas of recent events, very recently or at the same time, before the verb. Be careful, I just mopped the floor and it's still wet.
What is mopped?
Well, so I suppose that clean with...
Yeah, clean with un trapo, with
yeah.
water.
Mopped is the pronunciation.
Mopped.
Mopped. Rosia called me just as I arrived at the airport. I was just about to do that.
Good. So notice that in all of these situations, usually it goes before the verb and after the subject. Here, here. And this one, that one doesn't, right? This one goes before this verb. All right, continue.
Okay. When we are trying to be polite, you just usually use not only. Can I just ask you a question?
Can I just ask you a question? So this is a way to soften our request. It makes it a little bit more polite, like just a little question.
But I don't know. Well, if I try to be polite in this case, I use may I or not.
Yes, you could also use may I
ask you a question.
May I ask you a question, or may I just ask you a question? Excuse me, can I just ask you a question?
Okay.
Okay.
Exactly. After the verb, that is just what I wanted. My car is parked just in front of my house. This is just what I needed.
Good. So in these cases, just means exactly. Okay.
Merely, barely, basically, after the verb. He lives just north of the city center. He's just an idiot.
Yes. Okay.
The simple true actually really simply before the verb. He just doesn't have enough talent to be an opera singer. This summer day is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
Just can also mean fair. It was a just decision. The word fair is used more often.
Okay, so that's like a different thing. Just can mean the same as fair. All right, and Denise, can you read about only?
Yes, only a special or single thing, usually after the verb. Alone, no others, uniquely, singularly, This gym is only for women. You will only go home if it starts to rain. I love only you. But or except, he's a great guy. Only he drinks too much. We both live in the same city, only I live closer to the sea.
Good. So again, this one is kind of a different thing. It means but or except. So that's kind of a different meaning.
Okay.
Okay, so in summary, here's a little tip for that with translations in Spanish to help you understand. So both can mean solo, solamente, but then only is único, pero, just is simply recientemente, exactamente.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, talking about both. Denise, can you continue?
Just or only. There are some situations where just and only are interchangeable, particularly when we want to mean no more, no other, or simply. Meaning no more, no other, before or after the verb. Only 2 students came to class. Just 2 students came to class. My kids only use the internet for schoolwork. My kids just use the internet for... My kids use the internet only for schoolwork. My kids use the internet just for... I have just one brother. I have only one brother. I just have one brother. I only have one brother. When you use just, the word order can help differentiate meaning. I've just had 2 pieces of pizza. I have recently eaten 2 pieces of pizza before the verb. I've had just 2 pieces of pizza. I've eaten only 2 pieces of pizza, not 3 or 4 or 5. And it's after the verb.
Okay, so this is interesting. Depending on the placement of the word, it can change the meaning possibly between recently and only, no more. Sometimes we can use our intonation of our voice to help understand the meaning. This one, right, is I just had two pieces of pizza. I had just 2 pieces of pizza, right? So it can be a little bit confusing understanding which one.
Yes.
Okay, so let's do some practice exercises with just and only. All right, so here it helps you because we already have the location in the sentence. All right, so number 1, Eric, can you give that a try?
Yeah, he's walk out of the office. He's on. And I see the rule, but I think it's just.
It's just, exactly, meaning recently.
Yeah.
Exactly. And here when it says he's, what does that mean?
He has.
He has, yeah.
Exactly, because it was recently. Okay, let's continue.
I was only joking.
Uh-huh. In this one, you could also use just. They both work equally well.
It's like solo?
Uh-huh, exactly.
Okay.
Didn't walk down this street 10 minutes ago. We are lost. We didn't. We just walked.
Exactly. This is also meaning like recently.
Yeah.
Just wait a minute and I'll be right with you.
Yeah, good.
These shoes are just the right size.
Perfect.
They were away for... It's the same, no? Just or only?
Just or only, yes. both work exactly.
Okay.
What a coincidence. I mentioned you and now here you are. I just mentioned.
Yeah, I just mentioned you recently, and here you are. Okay, there's a few more.
Peter was the only person who could help me.
Only, yeah, in this case, only, that's the only one that works.
Okay.
This is the only photo I have of my grandmother.
Yes, it's the only one.
Just do it.
Yeah, that's the Nike slogan.
Yeah. Opens a beer. This is only what I needed.
This is just what I needed. Here, what we mean is exactly. This is exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
Could I just ask you a quick question?
Right.
It's like polite.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
I was trying to help. I was only trying to help.
Yeah. And this one actually both work fine. Okay, so let's make some practice sentences of your own with just and only. Why don't you take 1 minute and think about it? I will show you the examples and the rules if you want. And I want you to try to think of 2 sentences with only and 2 sentences with just, and then we'll check them. How are you doing? Are you almost finished?
Yes.
What's it?
All right, let's hear what you got so far.
Well, I only wrote sentences. The first one is that's just what I was trying to say.
Yeah, exactly. Good. That's just what I was trying, oops. That's just what I was trying to say. What's your other one, Eric?
I only wanted to travel by the world. I don't know, something like that.
I only wanted to travel around the world.
Around the world, yeah.
I only want to travel around the world.
And the other is I've just watched The Office. Or watched The Office.
I just watched The Office. Good. Okay, what about you, Denise?
Well, with my examples of just these are, I've just came back from the supermarket.
I've just come back.
Okay, yes, come back.
Well, did you say I've?
Yes.
Okay, I've just come back from the supermarket.
And I just need a little help to finish my school project.
I just need a little help to finish my school project. Good.
And my examples of only, you are the only one that can win this competition.
Good.
And the other one, she's a great dancer, only she doesn't like salsa.
Good. Here, that's great. You're using only in a different way, meaning but.
Yes.
Good. Wonderful. Okie dokie. All right, that was easy. So I have an article I thought we could maybe read today and discuss. I don't know if you heard about, I think it was last week, there was some conferences, some international conferences about climate change.
No, well, I didn't hear about it.
No. So at the title here, it says the travel industry takes crucial first steps towards combating climate change.
Oh, it's about the fuel and the electric cars.
Well, yeah, I suppose, and air travel also. Air travel produces a lot of emissions too. So it says more than 300 travel companies, tourism boards, and countries have signed the Glasgow Declaration on Climate Action in Tourism, the first step for a shared roadmap to cut carbon emissions.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're going to read more about that. When you travel, is that something that you think about, or do you think many people are conscious of or think about the environmental impact of traveling?
Well,
traveling. Sorry, Denise, please.
Yeah.
Only I've never thought about the air traveling, but we try to not use car. Well, Denise and I, we don't try to use car because we prefer use bike and walk. We would prefer walk because we know that, well, we have many difference, many reasons. The first one obviously is the impact for the environment. Well, the second one is the money. Obviously, we don't want to spend money in this kind of things. And the third one is it's more healthy for us and for the people. So, but I've never thought about the impact that I can produce if I take an airplane or a flight. Right. So yeah. And Denise, I don't know.
Well, me too. I've never thought about the impact on when we fly, to another place. But I think that we should consider choosing an airline when we are thinking about buying a flight, no, to another place. So I think that this new is this this new is a good new because well I think that in the future when I consider buying a flight, I think that maybe I will think about it and maybe take a decision taking a decision considering these criteria, no?
Right.
Maybe I would choose an airline that that is thinking about improving the environment, no? So I think that this will be the future, no?
Right.
Maybe we are not going to choose a flight because of the money or how much it costs, because but we are how can I say this? But we are going to choose or make a decision about this environmental impact that the flight will have.
Yeah, based on the environmental impact. Right. There are some airlines that are offering, or they have different schemes to offset carbon emissions. So they have, I think that there are some ways that, maybe the customer pays more or the airline pays more to, donate money to, I guess, like causes that that offset emissions or that try to do something to combat climate change.
I've seen this offset carbon emission, or this part of when I buy a ticket. I've seen this
Oh,
option,
yeah?
but I've never thought about what is that. So only I click to know and continue buying.
Well, I think it's interesting. Like, I agree with you. I honestly don't think about it when I'm buying a ticket either. I think, I don't travel that much. But, it's, I guess, a lot of people traveling more and more. And there's just like more air travel, which means more fuel and more, exhaust from the planes and everything. So I think it adds up.
I'm sorry, Katie.
That's it.
I don't know if it should be like well, if we choose to fly in a green flight, no, maybe I don't know if it's good that it costs an extra amount of money. I think that flying in this kind of situation or conditions should be like a standard, no? I don't know, because I think that maybe this kind of value given from these airline companies, it's like for making or doing business, no, not for a really how can I say, empathetic action to the world, no. So
Yeah.
I don't know I don't like when companies take these kind of situations or news to make more money.
Yeah, they take advantage
Yes.
of kind of a global trend, maybe.
Yes.
And it goes back to the question, about who's responsible. Is it the individual customers that are responsible for taking green decisions? Or is it the company itself with their policies that should take that responsibility themselves?
Well, I think that companies have more responsibility about it, because a consumer or a user, no, is buying it, no, but I think that companies have more responsibility because they have a bigger impact to a lot of people and consumers, no. So I think that these kind of initiatives should come from them.
Right.
And I think companies, as you said, Katie, take an advantage about this. And maybe I think they make us feel like a responsible about this. So I think they are trying like a create like an conscience, but in a different way. Only with I mean everything are business. So well everything that they do are business. So obviously they want not to spend more money for by their pockets. So yeah.
Right. Right. Yeah, I also agree that it's wrong to make the customer responsible for everything, right? Governments and policy and the companies need to take responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, but I think that, well, I don't know, but I think that it's good that these kind of topics are having more visibility, no? But I'm not very agree of how how it is having visibility to the people, no? Because they are giving people the option to have a green flight or a standard flight, no? And I think that we as users, we we should not have to take this decision, no, because it's for the best for everyone.
Right.
But I mean, we are talking about only flights, but we can talk about like the day-to-day travel to your job or even for I don't know for a shop. Maybe well here in Mexico we have a lot of cars and I don't know the environment is very bad. So I think the first step, at least in Mexico, we have to create more conscience about the day to day. So after that, I think we can create a bigger conscience about the impacts about this.
Right. I think that I agree with you. We definitely need to talk about the day-to-day stuff because that is super, yeah, it happens all the time, super impactful. But I think that in this article, they're talking about travel, like leisure, probably like leisure and business travel versus regular day-to-day internal transportation. Which is interesting because I think that already there is some talk about day-to-day transportation. Like in Mexico City, there are certain rules about the emissions and smog, but we don't really hear much talking about travel, like for holidays and like how that impacts the environment.
Yeah.
Like this, that's kind of a new thing that's gaining visibility.
Yes, and well, I'm thinking about one of our last trips when we went to the beach and we took a boat, no? And well, we don't think about the impact of taking a boat, no, and the impact or damage that can make to the sea, to the animals, no. So I think that this is like another example, no, of how when we have to be very conscious when we travel, no, about the impact we are having in the place we are visiting.
Yeah.
No, and well, I think that I have never considered this thing when I go to other places.
Maybe it will appear a company like Tesla in the future or airplanes. Very expensive, maybe very fancy, but without any oil, using any oil.
Right. Hey, and what happened to your trip to Iceland? Was that the plan?
Yeah, we will travel we will try to travel for the next year in the Britain of Venice. In March.
On Denise's birthday.
Yeah. On Denise's birthday, yeah.
I see, in March. Okay, cool, nice.
Well, right now we are fully vaccinated, Katie, so maybe next year will be the one, yes.
And hopefully there'll be good weather in March. I don't know if it's maybe cold in March or you'll have to check.
I think like that a little bit, no? But
you saw something, Denise.
What?
Do you remember? You saw something about the weather in Iceland. I know that you told me that a period of time,
Yes.
but I don't remember very well.
Yes, I think that it's a good season to see the aurora boreal, boreal.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, the best month I think that is on October, November, but on March we have like probability to see them
In March.
in March.
I see.
Yes, but we should start planning this trip, Katie.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and read this article. If you have any questions about vocabulary or anything, you can stop and ask me, and I'll give you feedback on pronunciation. So here it says, at the United Nations Climate Conference, hundreds of members of the tourism industry made a commitment toward a plan to cut carbon emissions in half by 2030 and reach net zero by 2050.
Wow.
Wow, it's a little ambitious.
I
but
know
good.
that's what I thought too. All right, well, let's see. Who wants to start reading?
Do you want to start, Eric?
Yeah, the travel industry has reached a turning point as thousands of scientists, government officials, and business leaders met in Glasgow over the past 2 weeks for the pivotal United Nations Climate Conference. Hundreds of members of the trillion-dollar tourism industry came together and made the first commitment toward a shared roadmap to cut carbon emission in half by 2030 and reach net zero by 2050.
Good. What is the pronunciation of this word?
Met?
Met. Good. And this word is pivotal.
Pivot. How?
Pivotal.
Pivotal?
Pivotal. It's, I guess, like pivotal. Pivotal.
Pivotal.
Do you understand pivotal? Pivotal is kind of like the idea of a turning point, or sometimes people say a tipping point, right? So it is a important movement or a key, something that is key to a change.
Yeah, I think it's very similar in Spanish. Sorry, pivote. Well, I suppose.
Except that here it is an adjective. But yes, you're right. It is talking about the same sort of concept. Good. Okay, let's continue.
You ready, or I continue?
Why don't you go, Denise?
Okay, more than 300 global travel stakeholders, including tour operators, tourism boards, and hotel chains, have signed the Glasgow Declaration on Climate Action in Tourism, requiring them to submit a concrete and transparent plan within 12 months. While the details have yet to be put forward, the companies and countries that sign on, from Germany railway company Deutsche Bahn AG to the country of Panama, will be expected to disclose their carbon emissions and offer clear strategies for how to reduce them. The process is being spearheaded by the UN World Tourism Organization and the World Travel and Tourism Council, two industry bodies that have previously spurred on climate matters.
Good. So they will be expected to disclose their carbon emissions and offer clear strategies for how to reduce them. So they have to submit a concrete and transparent plan on how to achieve those goals. They made a big commitment. Here, the pronunciation of climate, you actually said it correctly the first time, then you corrected yourself, but it's climate. Okay, so lots of people are involved in this, right? So it's the stakeholders include tour operators, tourism boards, hotel chains, sounds like the railroads and even entire countries.
Wow.
All right, let's continue. Eric, can you continue?
Yes, this undoubtedly the biggest climate commitment our industry has come together for, said Jeremy Smith, the co-founder of Tourism Declares a Climate Emergency, an initiative that supports climate action and provides the framework for Glasgow's declaration. Our initiative launched 2 years ago. Uh, our initiative launched 2 years ago because the industry had not collected plan, and we did well getting over 400 tourism organization and board without funding. He said, but the Glasgow Declaration builds on our work. It's the coming together of major players in our sectors, and it's owned by everyone who sings it, establishing collective responsibility.
Who has signed,
Assigned.
right? Signed.
Signed.
So it sounds like sign. Sign. Okay. Denise?
The travel industry is a large contributor to global carbon emissions, with a footprint estimated between 8 and 11% of total greenhouse gases. According to the World Travel and Tourism Council, or WTTC, aviation alone represents around 17% of total travel carbon emissions. Each year, a growing number of destinations and communities heavily dependent on tourism, like countries like Thailand, India, and Madagascar, are hit hard by the impacts of climate change in the form of rising sea levels, drought, wildfires, deforestation, and biodiversity loss.
Yeah, so it says that the travel industry is a large contributor with a footprint estimated between 8 and 11% of total greenhouse gases, and that aviation alone represents 17% of travel carbon emissions.
It's a lot.
Yeah. And it's interesting what it talks about here about how countries that are highly tourism dependent are also sometimes very in danger of the climate change effects because of rising. And I suppose that Mexico would be, in that category as well, right? That highly dependent on tourism and also potentially at risk for all of these things that could happen because of climate change.
Yes. Yeah, sure.
So we could say that it is. In the best interest of the country to pay attention to it.
Yes.
Yeah. But something that has Mexico, it's a lot of petroleum, and now petroleum gives a lot of money. So I think for that reason, recent governments are spending more in these kind of things.
Right. Mexico has a lot of oil.
Oil, yeah.
Right.
Yes, but maybe like a solution for these kind of countries is how to have like a sustainable tourism, no?
Exactly. Yeah.
How can people or foreigners come to Mexico and how they can have a small impact, no, in the environment, no, in beaches, no, in all the places.
Right.
But well, it's not easy, no.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Well, I think, sorry.
Well, I was just going to say there's initiatives that I wonder, the train, the Mayan train thing, I think they canceled it, right? But it's like, was that supposed to be sustainable or not? Or, are initiatives like that a good thing or not?
Well,
I don't know. There's a lot of controversy about this.
Yeah.
A controversy is correct. That
Controversy, yeah.
okay, but I don't know. I think it has some positive things and negative things. Well, I suppose. Well, I don't know. I'm talking about my ignorance, but I think it's something that it's good for these kind of things because at the end we have, or in that zone there are reels, so the government is reusing these reels is correct that I mean
right?
the I don't know, the way that the train can travel, you know, that
Oh, the
that
rails,
rails.
the rails.
I am. So I know that only the government are reusing this, and obviously are investment more about the trains and all of things. But I don't know. Well, in my perspective, in my point of view, I think it's a good positive because I know we are given. Well, we have a lot of factors, so I don't know. I'm talking about my ignorance.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes.
I don't know that much about it either.
But maybe this initiative, well, it has been very controversial, no? But I think that it's very hard, but it's ideal that these kind of strategies reduce impact on 0%, no? But maybe we should try to balance, no? How we can um, design these strategies and reducing the impact that they could have, no? For example, we've seen like green architecture, no? That there are places, no, that are built, no, and without cutting trees, for example, no? So how can we be kinder with environment and continue living in a good way, no? So I think, I don't know all about this initiative of the Mayan train, but I know that it has been built and designed trying to respect, no, the environment, the rainforest, the animals.
Yeah.
Only I know that they have, as Eric said, reutilized the rails, no? But well, I think that we should think more than way, no, nor no, as we have done in the last years about destroying and
Yeah.
thinking only in human race, no. No, we
Yeah.
have to think in a broader way.
Yeah, right.
I
Yeah.
think the only way to do not impact the environment in general, with 100% sure, is that don't build anything. And I don't know, well, really, because people, I don't know how to say this, but people don't like these initiatives because they are cutting trees, or maybe they are like invading some spaces. But I mean, we don't we don't want to impact anything in the environment, we'll never build anything.
Yeah.
So I think we should reduce the least that we can.
Yeah. And well, tourists are going to come anyway. Tourists are going to keep coming. I mean, unless Mexico decides to stop them for some reason, but tourists are going to keep coming. So we need to build infrastructure that is as sustainable as possible to deal with the tourists. And the tourists are a super important part of the economy. So
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about our responsibility, no, as travelers. We know that we don't have a lot of places, hotels, transportation that is being kind with environment, but we have like the decision, no, to choose and try to be more selective and improve the situation by around.
yeah, right.
No, so I think that both we both have responsibilities. Maybe politics and well companies and chain hotels have more responsibility, but we have to assume ours.
Yeah, and the government too.
And yes, government.
Okay, let's continue reading a little bit more of the article here.
Yeah. The pandemic spotlighted the adverse impact of industry growth and over-tourism of Venice, Bali, and other popular destinations, forcing some places to take stock and pivot toward more sustainable and environmentally friendly business models. Yet, with most operators and destination reeling from the industry shutdown last year, it's unclear how many of those plans will prioritize over the need for the fast recovery.
Right, so it's like, what type of plan will be prioritized? A fast recovery or sustainability? You know, after the pandemic, in the end, which one is going to win? Okay, let's continue.
We need a cultural change, and we need to move beyond the traditional growth-oriented mindsets to see a more sustainable, responsible, and climate-neutral tourism ecosystem, said Patrick Child, Deputy Director General of Environment at the European Commission.
Good.
A lot of apathy. The declaration has 4 main targets. Measurement requiring companies to disclose all travel and tourism-related emissions, decarbonization by setting targets aligned with climate science, regeneration to restore and protect natural ecosystems, and collaboration to ensure best practices and share and financing is available to follow through.
Do you understand follow through?
Follow through.
No.
Like something that it can happen and will happen, something like this.
Maybe. Okay, so this is, I just wanted to bring it to your attention because I think this is a good word maybe for you guys. Follow through means that you dar seguimiento. It's like follow up. It's very similar to follow up. Maybe not exactly the same. Follow up means to like go back and check if it's done. This is similar, but not exactly. Follow through means you commit, you say you're going to do something, you make a commitment, and then you actually do it. So it's the cumplimiento. It's the actually doing what you said you were going to do.
Okay.
So you could say, you know, like, I always follow through on my commitments.
Okay.
That's a good follow through. To follow through is a good quality, a good action, right? Okay, so we're just about out of time. We didn't quite finish, but maybe we can finish this article either next time, or if you want, you can finish reading it for homework.
Yes, for homework.
All right, I'm gonna put the article is here in your notes if you wanna finish reading it. And also if you have any more doubts or questions about just and only, then there's a YouTube video that has a nice explanation here.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okie dokie. So I'm gonna see you guys on Friday, right? At 3:30?
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you, Katie.
Okay, perfect. Well, have a good night, guys. I'll see you then.
Yeah.
Good night. Bye.
Ciao.